I want to go to Utsav before I come to you, Shantanu. You know, Utsav, the event that you organized, you had some US congressmen also. Is there a sense that the occasion that we are living, the moment that India is living through, is a civilizational moment? It's a momentous occasion where a historical wrong is being corrected.
There is an increased sense of understanding that is dawning upon many of the thought leaders and policymakers and lawmakers in America, because for all these years, their information on Ramayana or Lord Ram or Ayodhya was through the blinkered eyes of the Washington Post and the New York Times and how they saw it in the context of geopolitics and Hindutva. So for the first time, they're coming out of that blinkered vision. And I think this is the moment where they are beginning to realize that this is not an election event. This is not a 20, 30-year event. This is a civilizational event that is happening once in 5 centuries, and it is beginning to dawn upon them now. And I don't know how the Washington Post and the New York Times of the world are still going to react to it, because they might continue on the path of disinformation as it was before. But the events happening around the world, what we were able to do at the Capitol Hill, were efforts and were successful efforts in overcoming those blinkered outlooks.
Okay, I am told Kim is back, so I want to go back to Kim. Kim, you were giving this beautiful, beautiful narration of the history behind the Ram Connect, the Ayodhya Connect, the India Connect of Korea. Please share with us and the viewers in India, what's the connect in the present? How does Korea, people of Korea, the royal family there, the elite, the common masses, how they connect with India and Lord Ram, and are they emotional about this event that's happening, the consecration of the Ram temple, which has waited for almost 5 centuries?
Well, I can tell you for sure that there is a lot of interest within for India in general within South Korea, and of course, the opening of the Ram Mandir temple would be one of them. I would say to a growing community. But more importantly, the story of the Ramayana itself, and even especially my own background with the story of Queen Sri Ratna, is actually becoming slowly but surely becoming a very strong bridge between the two nations, and even I would say even between the two the diaspora communities, right? So as you've seen in our Ramayana event, I was there as a Korean American. I mean, it is touching all of us who know about the story, who got to appreciate the story. And might I even say, we actually were able to, and because of Utsav's great efforts and all as well, and as well as other Hindu Actions team, we were able to have 2 gentlemen from 2 sides of the world that are who actually were responsible for really preserving these 2 stories. We had someone from the Bamyan province in Afghanistan who was actually responsible for protecting the Bamyan Buddhas. And he himself actually vowed to protect all Hindus, Buddhists, Jews, and Christians in his region because all of it needed to be protected. And he actually said during the event that Hindus and Hazaras, and himself is a Hazara, we are brothers and sisters, and through this story, let us be united even stronger. We also had and his name was Mr. Ishak Mohidi, and we also had a gentleman from the Tibetan community from Ladakh, and he also said the same thing, that we are also united, no matter if we are if we may be Buddhists or Muslims or Christians or whatever it may be. That the story of Ramayana itself is a unifying factor. And it is a unifying factor because it has been a unifying factor for thousands of years. And I believe that it will be for the next upcoming foreseeable future as well. So I'll just conclude with this, is that, the opening of the Ram Mandir temple is just only a beginning for for India to be bridged further into the world. It's a reminder that India itself is on the rise, and for folks like myself who are descendants of Queen Sri-Ratna, or even if we may not be, who have been inspired by the India's growth for the past a couple of decades, we're proud to say the following: "Hum dil se Bharati ho," and in our hearts we hold that very dearly, and I believe that for the foreseeable future you will see a lot more people coming out, saying those words, maybe not in Hindi, but in other forms of languages, genuinely from their hearts. So I'm excited. I'm very, very excited to see the fruition of all of this.
Beautiful. Kim, have you been to India? Have you been to India?
Yes, I have. I was there in 2015, and I actually learned the definition of hospitality from the Indian communities there. And thankfully, because partly also due to the hospitalities of the Tibetan community living in India, I was able to just really immerse myself with what India was. And I'll also just say this about India is that I think everybody on this earth should visit India. At least once in their lives, and I'm pretty sure that they'll become a better person as a result of it. There's a lot of great parts about India that people should never ever miss out on, and I think the world can do better by learning from the great aspects of the Indian civilization and Indian history and the Indian people.
Fantastic. What beautiful words, Kim. Hopefully next time when you come, you would be able to go to Ayodhya as well and pray before Lord Ram Lalla there at the temple, which is going to be consecrated on January 22nd. I believe before I come back in the last bit for the politics bit of it, Pandit Satish Sharma wants to say something. Over to you in London, Mr. Sharma. I think you wanted to add to what Kim was saying.
Yes, thank you. I mean, we couldn't be having this conversation about the international bringing together of people without mentioning and reminding everybody of Honorable Minister Smriti Iraniji's visit to the Middle East recently, where they signed an understanding to bring the teachings of the Ramayana into school syllabuses. And that's an extraordinary example of how the Maryada Purushottam idea can affect and bring people together and be an example without really stumbling into this difficult area of religious conflict. So there is definitely something happening. It's a global movement. A lot of very rigid boundaries, I think, are beginning to tumble in people's minds and hearts. And, we are so fortunate to be a part of this whole civilizational shift, as Utsav ji has mentioned.
Absolutely. Wonderful things happening, not just in India, around the world, on this front at least. And the coming of Lord Ram, actually, Shantanu, heralding those beautiful developments, of course, vis-a-vis India and the rest of the world. But what Dr. Dharamayasa said, the reason why a Muslim Indonesia is able to live with Ramayana and live it actually is because it sees Ramayana as it is. Minus Ramayana any politics. Ramayana, unfortunately, we have a lot of politics in our country. Is it not sad?
It's very sad. I think, Abhishek, first of all, I want to thank you and congratulate Republic TV that we're having this conversation, right? I was in multiple channels and we're distilling the petty politics. But when you're bringing people from across, then I think viewers will be able to realize it's not the topic of Ayodhya. It's not the topic of Uttar Pradesh. It's not the topic of Bharatvarsh. It's a global topic. From Indonesia, which is an Islamic country, Thailand, which is a Buddhist country, Philippines, which is a Christian country, multiple countries from US to Southeast Asia, and now Saudi Arabia. And I was reading Barack Obama's biography, and he said, I spent my childhood listening to Ramayana and Mahabharata. This is Barack Obama.
He carried in his pocket a small idol of Lord Hanuman.
Exactly, and he is shown in multiple interviews. Maharaja Vajiralongkorn, who is the current king of Thailand, his title is Rama the 10th. Can you imagine Rama and his Ramarajya is such an epitome that his name is become a title now. So Rama 1 to Rama 2 to Rama the 10th. In Egypt, we have Ramses. So when I think someone has to be very unfortunate when you have the invitation to go to 22nd and you deny that after listening to all of this.
I know.
People
I know what you're suggesting.
And to have this invitation in hand, you say,
I know what you're suggesting.
That invitation. Oh my God.
I know what
how unfortunate you have to be.
I know what you're suggesting, Shantanu, but I will not get into it because after a break, Niranjan is going to come and discuss those aspects of the politics of the Ram Temple that's happening absolutely without a break, unfortunately. But we have a beautiful conversation we have had over the last 48 minutes on what the Pran Pratishtha of Lord Ram in Ayodhya on January 22nd means. Can I give the last word to Dr. Dharamayasa? He has spoken so beautifully. Dr. Dharamayasa, on January 22nd, when the Pran Pratishtha happens, what would you be doing and what would the people in Indonesia and Bali would be doing?
As we say, as I just said, it's our celebration, not India's celebration. It's our celebration. We are doing this, and on 22nd we will celebrating this in a good way, and also through dance, through puja. It's a must to do puja, and because Rama in Indonesia, it's the word to show wisdom, and even the all people, not Hindus, but like priest of the Christian, we call it Romo. It's come from Rama, Romo. It's not belong to Indian anymore, the word. It's belong to ours. So we will celebrate it in a best way we can. Through the dance, the celebration, and through the puja.
Right. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Dharamayasa, with those beautiful words. And we have had this very fantastic conversation, a different one from the run-of-the-mill that's been happening for some time around the politics of Ram Temple. Of course, we are not going to leave that also because that's really important, because that's a conversation India as a nation is having with itself. Both the plus and the minus, positive and the negative, fortunate and the unfortunate. And that's what makes us a very vibrant democracy and a strong one. And we really treasure and value that, even as we all join as a nation and society to welcome Lord Ram Lalla into his temple after having lived in a tent for over 3 decades and having struggled to get a house or home for the last 5 centuries. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me. Se-Hoon Kim from New York, Utsav, of course, from Washington, D.C., Pandit Satish Sharma from London, and Dr. Dharamayasa from Valletta in Bali, and Sushil Saraf from Thailand. Sorry, I couldn't come to you because of the audio issue there. And of course, Shantanu with me in the studios. Thank you, friends, for joining us.